It Shouldn't Be Like This: What's Really Causing Your Emotional Pain by Don Ratliff. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved. Chapter 1. What is emotional pain? When you hear the words emotional pain, you might think of heartbreak, betrayal, rejection, or grief. But emotional pain doesn't always hurt that much. Sometimes you're simply bothered. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You're irritated. The checkout line isn't moving. You're impatient. Your spouse does something you've asked them repeatedly not to do. You're frustrated. Someone doesn't return your call. You're disappointed. We probably wouldn't describe these experiences by saying, "I'm in emotional pain." But for this book, I want you to think of emotional pain as a spectrum, from mild irritation and frustration all the way to heartbreak and grief. If something is bothering you, you're experiencing some degree of emotional pain, and that gives us something to investigate. 3 ideas about emotional pain. There are 3 ideas I'd like you to keep in mind. Emotional pain is a distress response generated by the brain. Emotional pain occurs when reality does not match our expectations. Emotional pain activates many of the same neural pathways as physical pain. Physical pain and emotional pain aren't the same thing. Touch a hot stove and your nervous system responds automatically. This book is about something different. It's about what happens when life gives us one reality, while we believe there should be another. Start with something small. Imagine you're driving, and the person in front of you is going way too slow. You're irritated. Why? Maybe they should be driving faster. Later, someone flies past you, weaving through traffic. Now you're irritated because they shouldn't be driving that fast. Different circumstances, same pattern. Something is happening, and you believe it should be happening differently. That's the idea we're going to explore throughout this book. Don't make your should wrong. Finding the should doesn't mean your expectation is unreasonable. A spouse should be faithful. A friend should keep a confidence. Someone who makes a promise should try to keep it. We're not deciding whether your should is right or wrong. We're simply noticing that it's there. And don't create another should. I shouldn't have shoulds. That's not the point. The goal is curiosity. Start paying attention. For the next day, notice the little things that bother you. The slow driver, the long line, the unanswered text, the barking dog, the rude comment, the person who's late, the computer that won't cooperate. When you feel that little emotional reaction, stop for a moment. Don't try to change it. Don't judge it. Ask, what do I believe should be different? That's all. The next time something bothers you, don't immediately try to fix the feeling. Just look for the should. Chapter 2. The gap between reality and should. There is what happened, and there is what we believe should have happened. Those aren't always the same. Imagine you're meeting a friend for lunch at noon. They arrive at 12:30. Reality. My friend arrived at 12:30. Should. My friend should have been here at noon. There's a gap between reality and your expectation. And inside that gap, emotional pain can appear. Reality and should. The idea is simple. Reality, what is or what happened. Should, what I believe should be or should have happened. You're standing in a checkout line that isn't moving. Reality, the line is moving slowly. Should, this line should be moving faster. Your computer freezes. Reality, the computer froze. Should, this computer should work. You don't get the promotion. Reality, someone else got the promotion. Should, I should have gotten it. A relationship ends. Reality, the relationship is over. Should. We should still be together. The circumstances become more serious, but the question remains, what do I believe should be different? The past has shoulds too. Some of our most painful shoulds involve things that have already happened. He shouldn't have done that. She should have stayed. I shouldn't have said that. I should have known better. That shouldn't have happened to me. The event may have ended years ago, but we can continue comparing what happened with what we believe should have happened. Reality doesn't change, but the should remains. Sometimes the should is reasonable. Finding the should doesn't mean approving of what happened. People shouldn't abuse others. A spouse shouldn't betray you. A drunk driver shouldn't endanger people. You can recognize that something happened, believe it was wrong, and still take whatever action is appropriate. We're simply separating what happened from what I believe should have happened. That's the gap. The feeling can be the clue. Sometimes we don't even know we have a should until someone violates it. Someone doesn't return your text. You're hurt. They should have responded. Someone interrupts you. You're irritated. They should have let me finish. Your spouse doesn't notice you're upset. You're disappointed. They should know something is wrong. The emotional reaction gives you a clue. Something matters to you. Something isn't matching your expectation. So instead of trying to change the feeling, become curious about it. Ask, what actually happened? Then, what do I believe should have happened instead? Reality. Should. The gap. That's all you need to look for right now. We're not trying to eliminate your expectations. We're learning to see them. Find the gap. Look for the should. Chapter 3. The should doesn't always say should. By now, you may be looking for the word should whenever something bothers you. But there's a catch. The should doesn't always say should. In fact, some of our strongest expectations are hidden behind completely different words. Someone does something you don't like. You think, I can't believe they did that. Hidden underneath may be, they shouldn't have done that. You're waiting for someone who's late. Where are they? Underneath, they should be here by now. Something doesn't go your way. That's not fair. Underneath, this should have turned out differently. The word should never appeared, but the expectation was there. Shoulds in disguise. Here are some common thoughts that may contain a hidden should. That's not fair. This should be fair. I can't believe she said that. She shouldn't have said that. Why is this taking so long? This should be happening faster. He knows better. He should behave differently. Why can't they just listen? They should listen to me. This wasn't supposed to happen. This should have happened differently. How could he do this to me? He shouldn't have done this. Why me? This shouldn't be happening to me. The words change. The underlying expectation doesn't. Listen to your language. Our everyday language can give us clues. Listen for phrases like, they always, they never. That's ridiculous. That's unfair. I can't believe. Why can't they? They know better. This wasn't supposed to happen. When you hear yourself thinking or saying something like this, don't criticize yourself. Get curious. Ask, what's my should? Sometimes you have to dig a little. Suppose you say, I'm angry because my husband left his clothes on the floor again. Ask, what bothers me about that? I've asked him 100 times to pick them up. Keep going. What do I believe should be different? He should pick up after himself. There it is. Or, I'm upset because my daughter hasn't called. What's the should? Maybe, she should call me more often. But perhaps underneath that is, she should want to talk to me. You don't need to turn every irritation into a deep psychological investigation. Sometimes the should is obvious. Sometimes it takes another question. The goal is simply to recognize it. Make it a game. For the next few days, make finding the should a game. Whenever something bothers you, ask, if I had to put my expectation into a sentence containing the word should, what would it be? Don't fix it. Don't judge it. Just find it. Because the should doesn't have to say should. You just have to learn how to hear it. Chapter 4. Everyday Shoulds. If you want to get good at finding the should, don't start with the biggest emotional pain in your life. Start with Tuesday morning. Everyday life gives us dozens of opportunities to practice. You're driving to work and someone cuts you off. They shouldn't drive like that. The checkout line is taking forever. This should be moving faster. Your coffee isn't made the way you ordered it. They should have gotten my order right. You send a text and don't get a response. They should have answered me by now. The weather ruins your plans. It wasn't supposed to rain today. Something happened. You wanted or expected something different. There's the should. At home. Home is a wonderful place to find shoulds. They should put their dishes away. He should take out the trash without being asked. She shouldn't leave the lights on. The kids should clean up after themselves. They should appreciate everything I do around here. The people we live with can be especially good at violating rules they may not even know we've written. At work. Work provides another endless supply. My boss should recognize how hard I work. My coworker should do their share. People should show up on time. That meeting shouldn't have taken 2 hours. I should have gotten the promotion. Again, don't decide whether the should is justified. Just notice it. With other people. Many of our everyday shoulds involve how we believe people ought to behave. People should be polite. They shouldn't interrupt. They should say thank you. They should keep their promises. They should put their shopping carts away. The world is full of people who apparently haven't read our rule book. And when reality doesn't cooperate with our expectation, we feel it. With ourselves, we don't save all our shoulds for other people. I should have remembered that. I shouldn't have said that. I should have gotten more done today. I should be better at this by now. Sometimes we're the person who isn't living up to our own expectations, and that can hurt too. The small stuff is practice. When the waiter gets your order wrong, what's the should? When someone takes the parking space you wanted, what's the should? When your phone won't cooperate, what's the should? When you make a mistake, what's the should? These little moments are practice, because if you can learn to find the should when you're mildly irritated, you'll be better prepared to recognize it when something hurts much more deeply. Don't judge the should. Don't try to fix the should. For now, just look for the should. Chapter 5. When the should gets personal. So far, we've looked at everyday shoulds. Traffic should move faster. The line shouldn't take so long. People should be on time. Those things can bother us, but the should becomes much more powerful when it involves someone we care about. My spouse should understand me. My friend shouldn't have betrayed me. My children should call more often. He should have told me the truth. She shouldn't have left. Now we're talking about love, trust, connection, and relationships, and the emotional pain can become much greater. Not all shoulds carry the same weight. Imagine a stranger is rude to you. You might be irritated for 5 minutes. Now, imagine your spouse says exactly the same thing. It may hurt much more. The words might be identical, but the person isn't. You may have very different expectations of your spouse than you do of a stranger. They should know me better. They shouldn't talk to me that way. They should care about my feelings. That's why this idea is important. Not all shoulds carry the same emotional weight. The more strongly we believe something should, or shouldn't, be the way it is, the more emotional pain we're likely to experience when reality disagrees. The people we love. Relationships are filled with expectations. Some are spoken, many aren't. You should know what I need. You should listen to me. You should support me. You should appreciate me. You should remember what's important to me. Sometimes the other person knows about these expectations. Sometimes they don't. And sometimes we don't realize we have them ourselves until they're not met. That's when the feeling can point us toward the should. When trust is broken. Someone you trusted lies to you. The obvious should might be, they shouldn't have lied to me. But there may be others. I should have seen it coming. I shouldn't have trusted them. One event can contain several shoulds. You don't need to find all of them. Start with one. Ask, what do I believe should have been different? This isn't about excusing anyone. Finding the should does not mean excusing someone's behavior. You can still set boundaries. You can still say no. You can still leave. You can still decide what you will and won't accept in your life. We're simply becoming aware of what is happening inside us. There is reality. There is what we believe reality should have been, and there is our emotional response. Look beneath the feeling. The next time someone close to you hurts or disappoints you, ask, what am I feeling? Then, what do I believe this person should or shouldn't have done? You aren't telling yourself you shouldn't be angry. You aren't telling yourself you shouldn't be hurt. You're becoming curious about what's underneath the feeling. When it hurts, get curious. Look for the should. Chapter 6. The shoulds we aim at ourselves. Not every should is about someone else. Some of the most painful shoulds are the ones we aim at ourselves. I should have known better. I shouldn't have said that. I should have made a different decision. I shouldn't have trusted them. I should be further along by now. These shoulds can become guilt, regret, embarrassment, disappointment, or shame. And unlike the slow driver we eventually leave behind, we take ourselves everywhere we go. Looking back. Think about a mistake you've made. Maybe you said something you wish you could take back. Maybe you stayed in a relationship too long. Maybe you passed up an opportunity. Maybe you trusted someone who hurt you. The event is over, but the should may remain. I should have left sooner. I shouldn't have believed them. I should have taken that job. I should have spent more time with my family. We know things today that we didn't necessarily know then, but it's easy to look backward with today's knowledge and judge yesterday's decisions. Shoulds about who we are. We also carry ideas about who we should be today. I should be more successful. I should have more money saved. I should be a better parent. I should be happier. I should have my life figured out by now. Sometimes we compare ourselves with other people. Sometimes we compare ourselves with an imaginary version of who we thought we'd become. Either way, reality may not match the picture, and that can hurt. Don't add another should. You notice you're upset about something you did. Then you think, I shouldn't still be upset about this. Now you have emotional pain about the original event, and another should about your emotional pain. Or, I shouldn't feel jealous. I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be sad. Remember what we're doing in this book. We're not telling you how you should feel. We're asking you to become curious about how you do feel. Turn the question around. Ask, what do I believe I should have done differently? Or, what do I believe should be different about me? Don't judge the answers. Just notice them. The should you're looking for isn't always about what someone else did. Sometimes the person you believe should be different is you. Chapter 7. The shoulds we carry from the past. Some shoulds last a few minutes. Others can last a lifetime. Someone cut you off in traffic. You're irritated. 10 minutes later, you've forgotten about it. But some events don't disappear so easily. A relationship ended. Someone betrayed you. You missed an opportunity. You made a mistake. Someone you loved died. Years may pass, yet thinking about what happened can still bring emotional pain. And somewhere inside that pain, there may still be a should. The past can't change. We know we can't change the past, but that doesn't stop us from wishing it had been different. He shouldn't have left. She shouldn't have lied to me. I should have taken that opportunity. My parents should have treated me differently. I shouldn't have made that decision. That shouldn't have happened. The event is over, but the expectation that it should have happened differently can remain. If only. Sometimes the should hides inside two little words. If only. If only I had called. I should have called. If only I hadn't trusted him. I shouldn't have trusted him. If only she had listened. She should have listened. If only we'd had more time. We should have had more time. If only can be another doorway to finding the should. When someone is gone, grief can contain some of our deepest emotional pain. And even here, shoulds may appear. They should still be here. They shouldn't have died so young. They shouldn't have done what contributed to their death. Or the should may turn inward. I should have called more often. I should have noticed something was wrong. I should have said I love you one more time. I should have done more. Finding those shoulds doesn't mean you shouldn't grieve. It simply gives you another way to become curious about what is inside the pain. You don't have to fix the past. I'm not going to tell you how to let go of all these shoulds. Not yet. First, we're learning to see. For now, simply notice, this is what happened. And this is what I believe should have happened instead. That's enough. Think of something from your past that still bothers you. Ask, what do I believe should have happened instead? Then, what do I believe someone else should have done differently? And, what do I believe I should have done differently? The past may be over, but sometimes the should is still here. What should am I still carrying? Chapter 8. The 7-Day Look. For the should challenge. You've learned the idea. Now I want you to test it. Not because I want you to believe me, because I want you to see what happens in your own life. For the next 7 days, whenever something bothers you, from a minor irritation to something that genuinely hurts, ask yourself one question. What do I believe should be different? That's the challenge. Don't wait for something big. Start with ordinary life. Someone is driving too slowly. They should drive faster. Someone doesn't return your text. They should have responded. Your spouse leaves a mess. They should clean up after themselves. Someone is late. They should be on time. You make a mistake. I should have known better. Plans change unexpectedly. This wasn't supposed to happen. These small moments are perfect because they happen all the time. Every irritation becomes an opportunity to practice. 3 simple questions. Whenever you notice emotional discomfort, ask, 1. What am I feeling? Angry? Irritated? Hurt? Disappointed? Frustrated? Sad? Just notice it. 2. What happened? Stick as closely as possible to the facts. He didn't call. She was late. I didn't get the job. The flight was canceled. I made a mistake. Then ask 3. What do I believe should be different? He should have called. She should have been on time. I should have gotten the job. The flight shouldn't have been canceled. I shouldn't have made that mistake. There it is. Don't fix it. Once you find the should, you don't have to do anything with it. Don't argue with it. Don't replace it. Don't tell yourself it's unreasonable. Don't tell yourself you shouldn't feel the way you feel. Just notice it. This exercise is about awareness. Keep a should list. For 7 days, consider keeping a simple list. What bothered me? Someone cut me off. My should. They shouldn't drive like that. What bothered me? My friend didn't call. My should. She should have called me. What bothered me? I forgot an appointment. My should. I should have remembered. That's enough. At the end of the week, read your list. You may begin seeing patterns. Again, don't judge them. Just notice. Try to prove me wrong. Look for an exception. Find an example of emotional pain where you cannot find, at some level, a belief that something should be different. I've been looking. I haven't found one yet. But don't take my word for it. Test the idea against your own life. When you're frustrated, look for the should. When you're disappointed, look for the should. When you're angry, look for the should. When you're hurt, look for the should. And when you simply notice that something is bothering you, look for the should. Not to stop feeling, not to stop caring, not to stop having expectations, but to become curious about what's underneath the feeling. For 7 days, give it a try. Don't immediately try to fix the feeling. Look for the should. Chapter 9. Now you know where to look. Something will bother you again. Someone will disappoint you. Plans will change. You'll make a mistake. Life won't cooperate. And you'll feel something. Irritation, frustration, anger, disappointment, hurt. Maybe something much deeper. Now you have a question you may not have asked before. What do I believe should be different? That's the point. Finding the should doesn't mean your emotional pain suddenly disappears. It doesn't mean what happened was acceptable. It doesn't mean you should stop caring, stop having expectations, or stop wanting things to be different. It simply gives you something valuable. Awareness. You can see what happened. You can notice how you feel. And you can begin to recognize the expectation underneath it. This happened. I believe something else should have happened. There it is. Don't create another should. There's one more trap to avoid. I shouldn't have shoulds. That's not the message of this book. You're human. You'll have expectations. You'll want things. You'll care about people and outcomes. And sometimes reality won't cooperate. When that happens, don't criticize yourself for how you feel. Get curious. Ask, what's underneath this feeling? Maybe you're still angry. Maybe you're still hurt. Maybe you're disappointed, frustrated, or sad. That's okay. You're not trying to make the feeling wrong. You're learning to understand what's underneath it. One last question. Think of something that's bothering you right now. Notice how you feel. Then ask, what do I believe should be different? Don't judge your answer. Don't argue with it. Don't try to convince yourself that your expectation is unreasonable. Just find it. Because once you see the should, you're no longer completely lost inside the feeling. You can see the expectation underneath it. And seeing it creates something important. A place to begin. Chapter 10. Acceptance is not approval. Finding the should gives you awareness, but awareness raises another question. What do I do once I see it? I can continue holding tightly to the belief that this person, this situation, this moment, or even my past should be different from what it actually is. Or I can begin moving toward acceptance. What acceptance means. Acceptance is sometimes misunderstood. Acceptance does not mean saying, "What happened was okay." It does not mean approving of someone's behavior. It does not mean giving up, staying in a bad situation, tolerating mistreatment, or deciding nothing should ever change. Acceptance simply means acknowledging reality as it is right now. This happened. This is what is happening. I may not like it. I may wish it were different. I may decide to take action to change what happens next, but I can stop fighting the fact that this is the reality in front of me. That distinction matters. There is a difference between saying, "This should not be happening," and "I don't want this to be happening, but I recognize that it is." The first keeps me arguing with reality. The second gives me a place to stand, and from that place I can decide what comes next. The past has already happened. The other person may already have made their choice. The relationship may already be over. The opportunity may already be gone. Acceptance doesn't change those facts. It changes what I do with them. Instead of spending all my energy arguing that reality should be different, I can begin asking, given that this is what happened, what do I want to do now? Acceptance does not mean inaction. Acceptance can coexist with action. I can speak up. I can set a boundary. I can leave. I can apologize. I can make a change. I can grieve. I can forgive. Or I can simply allow myself time to adjust to a reality I never wanted. Acceptance isn't always immediate. Sometimes the should has been with us for years. Sometimes what happened was deeply painful. Sometimes we're simply not ready to release our argument with reality. That's worth recognizing too. You don't need another should. I should be over this by now. Acceptance isn't something else to use against yourself. It's a direction you can begin moving toward when you're ready. A simple path forward. When emotional pain appears, I now have a simple place to begin. What am I feeling? Then, what happened? Then, what do I believe should have been different? And once I can see the expectation underneath the pain, I can ask, am I willing to acknowledge what actually happened, even though I wish it had been different? That question does not erase the pain. It does not change the past. It does not require me to approve of anything. It simply allows me to begin facing reality instead of continuing to demand that reality becomes something it isn't. Sometimes simply recognizing the should softens the emotional pain for me. Sometimes it doesn't. But even when the feeling remains, something has changed. I'm no longer completely lost inside it. I can see what I'm fighting. And once I can see it, I have a choice. Do I want to keep holding on to the belief that reality should be different? Or am I ready to begin accepting what is? That's a question only you can answer. Whatever comes next, begin here. Look for the should, then decide what you want to do with it. The reality may not be yours to choose, but what you do next is. Chapter 11. Why acceptance changes the pain. Your brain carries an expectation of how reality should be. When reality violates that expectation, the brain detects the mismatch. If the difference is important enough, systems involved in threat, emotional significance, and distress become active, and we experience that response as emotional pain. The stronger our conviction that reality should have been different, the greater the conflict the brain has to resolve. That helps explain why the should matters so much. If I believe this should not have happened, but reality says it did, there is a conflict, and something else can happen. The brain can return to the painful event again and again. We replay what happened. We remember what was said. We imagine what should have happened instead. We think about what we should have done differently. And each time we mentally return to the event, we can activate some of the same emotional response again. The event may have happened only once, but emotionally, we may experience parts of it hundreds or even thousands of times. As long as I continue telling myself, this shouldn't have happened, the mismatch remains unresolved, what happened versus what I believe should have happened. This is where acceptance can begin changing the cycle. Instead of, this shouldn't have happened, I can begin moving toward, I wish this hadn't happened, but it did. That may sound like a small difference. I think it is a profound one. The first statement continues the conflict with reality. The second begins to resolve it. Acceptance may help reduce the cycle because the brain is no longer being asked to repeatedly reconcile what actually happened with our demand that it should have happened differently. That does not mean the emotional pain disappears instantly. The memory may still hurt. I may still feel sadness. I may still grieve. I may still wish with everything in me that things had turned out differently. But I am no longer fighting the fact that they did not. That matters. Because as long as I continue demanding that reality should be different, I keep presenting my brain with the same unresolved conflict. Acceptance gives the brain a different message. I don't like this. I didn't want this. But this is what happened. That allows the mind to begin adjusting to reality rather than continuing to argue with it. And perhaps that is what letting go really means. Not letting go of the memory, not letting go of the person, not even necessarily letting go of the sadness, but letting go of the demand that reality should be different from what it is. The should can begin turning into a wish instead of, this shouldn't have happened. I can say, I wish this hadn't happened. The wish can remain. The sadness can remain. The love can remain. What begins to change is the demand, and that difference can be enormous. Because a wish can coexist with reality. A demand cannot. I can wish something were different and still accept that this is how it is. Maybe emotional pain often begins with, it shouldn't be like this. And healing begins when we can finally say, I wish it weren't like this. But this is how it is, and I can begin from here.